from the battlefield to the diplomatic one, where US Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited the Western Wall in Jerusalem shortly after her arrival in Israel, where she was greeted by US Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Meanwhile, the head of a US-backed group, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, unexpectedly resigned, adding uncertainty to the future of their aid efforts. Executive Director Jake Wood explained he could no longer stay as the foundation failed to operate in line with humanitarian principles. On another front, lawmakers from Europe and Arab nations met in Madrid yesterday to discuss the ongoing war in Gaza. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa addressed the gathering, calling for more US involvement. Let's hear his statement.
Well, obviously, the United States is a very important stakeholder in the Middle East region. We would like to see them engaged as much as possible. Their efforts in terms of Gaza ceasefire is appreciated, but we also want to see them hopefully in New York for the International Peace Conference. So hopefully more engagement, positive engagement by the U.S. will help bring peace and stability for the region. We want to see a ceasefire in Gaza. We want to see an end of occupation as soon as possible, and we want to hopefully move as fast as possible to peace where Palestine and Israel can coexist and hopefully bring stability and security for the whole region.
Egypt's Foreign Minister Badil Abdelati discussed the need for applying maximum pressure on Israel. Let's take a listen to his remarks.
Unfortunately, there is a lack of political will from the Israeli side. This is the main problem, and we will keep trying. We will apply maximum pressure. We will continue to exert our maximum efforts in order to push for a ceasefire, because we managed to succeed on the 19th of January and we reached the ceasefire, and it worked because we managed to release 21 hostages and at that time, and to allow the flow of humanitarian and medical aid into Gaza. But it was Israel who walked out of this agreement, and they continued their own attacks and aggressions on Gaza.
We're now joined by Jayant Krishna, who is a senior fellow at the CSIS, to discuss this in more detail. Jayant, thank you very much for joining us on the programme. Over the past week or so, we've seen Western leaders come out and speak out against the Israeli government's action for the first time. There's two clear camps emerging here. You see the likes of France and the UK and Canada in one, and then you have obviously a very strong alliance between the US and Israel still remaining. Can I get your thoughts on the diplomatic sides and the growing opposition for the current Israel government's actions?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, there have been a lot of hostilities between Israel and Gaza. If you look at in the last few months, almost 54,000 people have been killed and 122,000 people have been injured, and purely more than the war, it's a huge humanitarian crisis, that exists, And today, as luck would have had it, the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, is there in Israel and is likely to meet Prime Minister Netanyahu. Although it is said that she's primarily there for the Jerusalem Day celebrations, and she's the first U.S. Cabinet Secretary level person to participate in such a celebration in Israel, and later she'll also be a part of a memorial service, for the two Israeli embassy staff members who were shot dead in Washington, D.C. So I think, I think also President Trump has been trying to declare some kind of negotiate and finally declare some kind of a ceasefire in Gaza. And, sometimes it appears that U.S. is also a bit frustrated, despite being very friendly with Prime Minister Netanyahu in Israel. They have been pestering Netanyahu, and the U.S. has also been in an indirect touch with Hamas. So I think U.S. has largely been telling Israel that, you have to delay your ground operations and, facilitate humanitarian aid distribution in Gaza and renewing the negotiation process. Even today there has been a huge strike by Israel, where a school converted into a shelter has killed 25 people. And you rightly said that, European Union and many European nations are also up in arms against Israel. Very recently, the Spain in Madrid, to be precise, they hosted a representative from Europe as well as the Arab nations. And the idea is to pester and, put pressure on Israel to end the war in Gaza. And not only that, they have gone to the extent of going for a, arms embargo against Israel. They have talked about, introducing economic sanctions against people who oppose a two-nation negotiated settlement, to the crisis. And also, a halt to Israel's inhuman and, to what may seem to some a senseless war which has been going on in Palestine. So I think, trade is also a very, very important weapon. So the meeting that happened in Spain, they've also talked about could there be a possibility of European Union suspending trade with Israel altogether. So I think these are huge, issues. And in the process, we also hear that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation chief, Jake Wood, has also resigned, saying lots of difficulties he's facing and the extent of, conflict which is there, and the fact, the kind of food, the kind of shelter, the kind of medical aid people in Gaza need, and the way the kind and let's understand, this group is backed both by US as well as Israel. And he has quit largely because what he says that there's a lack of independence, humanitarian, bent of mind, and impartiality.
Giant, apologies, I just want to have a little input here. We've obviously seen this bombing on this school today that's killed 20 people reportedly, many of whom are reportedly children. This kind of adds to the ever-growing list of case studies. Obviously, we just had a couple of days ago as well, 9 out of 10 of these doctors' children were killed. We've seen opposition grow and world leaders be more vocal opposition against Israel. Do you think Israel here is at a diplomatic tipping point if these horrific, frankly horrific stories, case studies keep being shown to the public?
Yeah, I feel so. Israel is at some kind of a tipping point because Europe has been mounting a lot of pressure on Israel, and US, which has largely been friendly to Israel, is also frustrated now, and and they're not very happy. So this kind of a killing happening on a day when the US Homeland Security Secretary is in Israel. So I think it is very unfortunate, and if this way Israel continues to annoy the rest of the world, it's not going to be happy for it in any sense, because in today's day and age, different nations of all over the world, need to coexist, need to have, amity, need to have, wise sensibility prevailing. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And some negotiation happens, some discussion happens. It's almost like 1 foot forward and 2 backwards. So that's what, and if it happens, they would lose all sympathizers, and in due course of time, perhaps the US as well, if this continues to happen. So I completely agree with you. They are at a tipping point when it comes to, their diplomatic relations with the rest of the world.
Giant Krishna, thank you very much for your insight and joining us on the program.